And that brings us to the introduction for the first speaker today. He is foundational in building the artificial intelligence capabilities for India with the belief that world-class intelligence can and must be developed locally at scale. Who are we talking about?
Well, we have a very special guest right here with us, Pratyush from Sarvam AI. What a pleasure to have you with us at the NDTV Indoor AI Summit. A huge round of applause, please. Of course, we're going to have NDTV's very own Shivaroor moderating this very special chat. But before that, over to you, Pratyush. The stage is all yours.
Can I just say, first of all, welcome to all of you. It's so nice to see you all here bright and early. Squeezed between getting the Prime Minister to visit your booth at the Bharat Mandapam and having a big product launch in a couple of hours from now, can we have a big, even bigger round of applause for Pratyush Kumar for making the time to come to the NDTV Summit? Because this is not just an affirmation of AI, but let me also boast this is an affirmation of the NDTV Summit. This is incredible to have Sarvam. I may be a little biased here because I'm starting things off today, Pratyush, but I see that you're wearing a particular something. I've got something in my hand as well. Hugely exciting, and I'm a bit of a gadget guy, just like my friend sitting over there, Ayush, and I'm going to come to you in a bit, Ayush, on this. But I'm going to start off by asking you about what happened yesterday. Look at this picture that I'm going to put on my screens, viewer. Most of you would have already seen it. This is the Prime Minister putting on a pair of glasses yesterday. Very, very viral picture from yesterday that Pratyush shared. That's the Prime Minister wearing the Sarvam Kaze. This is a new wearable product unveiled yesterday by Pratyush and his team. Just tell us a little bit first about this picture, because you're wearing the same thing and I'm going to be wearing it as well.
No, absolutely. This was the start of the Impact Summit for us. The Prime Minister walked into the hall and he came into the Sarvam stall. We had a chance to show him each of our products. What was very interesting to me was the security folks had put a little bit of a mark on the ground where he should stand and look at the products. He came there, of course, and then I went to some distance to explain to him what we are doing. And then he came very close, and he started listening to us, asking about the products. He's super engaged, had a lot of questions about what are the AI models we are building, why they are world-class, what can we do with them, played with all our products on the glasses, on the feature phones, on the smartphones. It was very energizing to see.
So he broke the security cordon and came a little nearer to your product. That's the Prime Minister, really. But, what did he say? In the video that was put out, it was tantalizingly without any audio. But he is someone who is known to be extremely keen on technology. Digital India is, of course, very, very important to him. AI is hugely important to him. Tell us a little bit about this interaction. What did he think? What did he say?
So we showed him the models we are training. Yeah. These are AI models that do a variety of things. They can take a photograph of a document and get the text out. They can recognize what you're speaking. They can synthesize speech. And we told him, sir, we are actually world-class in this. We showed him the graph. This is how different models do, and this is our performance, and we are doing the best. He was genuinely interested. How are you doing that? How are you making it happen? And we talked about the talent we have, the amount of quality we have in building AI from India, and that we can do it in India. The other thing what I found interesting was I showed him a feature phone, that AI doesn't require expensive gadgets. On a feature phone, somebody can actually call up and ask any question to the models that we have built. And he listened to it. He said, does it speak Gujarati? We showed him an example of Gujarati. So it was really energizing. Somebody who really understood the tech and the impact it can have.
You're wearing the same glasses that the Prime Minister has got on in those pictures. Apologies. And I've got a sort of preview pair of the same glasses that are going to be hitting the market sometime in May this year.
Absolutely.
In May this year. So it's going to be in retail. You can actually wear one of these. I'm going to put them on for the first time.
Looks good.
His is already plugged in, by the way. We're going to see what it can do a little later. But tell us, Pratyush, about the Sarvam case. The glasses that you're wearing right now have viraled. People are asking all about it. When I posted about this session this morning with a picture of the glasses, every single question that I had was, a deeper question about these glasses. Tell us about it. You've got them on, and they're switched on, by the way. They're working right now.
Yeah. No, see, I want to a little bit step back and talk about, I think, what the theme should be, which is India can. For a long period of time, we have believed that the technology platforms that we use, whether it's social media, operating systems, whether it is even devices, they're often designed, manufactured outside the country. And I think the key thing that we are looking at right now, even these glasses, they are designed, they are manufactured, and they are fitted with software, all done in India, right? And we are in a new world of software. It's not the usual software that you had before. You're always going to be hitting these large language models in anything that you do. And that will become the core software that runs everything in our day-to-day lives, in productivity, at work, in entertainment. And those models are also models that we are building in-house at Sarvam, right? So I think this is a moment when we're able to show all of that India can coming together in this device.
Yeah, I'm going to come to the India can bit in just a moment, because the language models that you're talking about, the local language models that you're talking about, is something that's also very exciting. But as far as the glasses are concerned, and apologies for staying with the glasses so much, because this is something that's very exciting, and it's completely Indian. That's the thing about this, right? That's the reason why it's exciting as well. Give us some use cases for this. This is a unique country here that we have, Pratyush. What are some of the use cases that you're envisioning for the Sarvam case?
Yeah. See, look.
And I understand there's a ring as well. People may not have noticed. There's also a smart ring on your finger.
I'm trying to do funny things in between whenever I can remember.
Yeah.
No, so look, India does not work on a desk, right? India works also on the move. And I think the primary objective as technologists we have at this time is that the huge step change that we have seen in technology should reach to people, right? We're living in a shadow where the technology is so much better than it's deployed, and it's our responsibility to make it available to all. So reducing the friction of access to this technology is important. Imagine a sales guy walking around, doing KYC, doing prospective discussions. He's wearing this, and he wants to ask a question about, let's say, an insurance policy his company has. He just clicks this ring and asks the question and gets an answer. If he wants to get feedback on how he did, he can do that. Next year, India is moving into doing a huge census program. Census in India is like a world standard effort, right?
The biggest thing.
It's the biggest effort that one can have. Imagine people being powered with glasses like this as they do their digital work. We have tertiary healthcare, we have education, there are various places where you can use this. Of course, there's also the aspect of the differently abled. You can use this to get a sense of what you're seeing, both in terms of having some kind of impairment, but also reading a different language. Our models today are very accurate in reading anything that's out there in any Indian language and explaining it to you back in the language that you want, right? So whether it's accessibility, whether it's productivity in the move, and entertainment. This, of course, plays audio. You can listen to your favorite podcast or movie on the move. So all of that is possible.
You know, one of the things is making existing functions easier. The other is also problem solving, Pratyush. And I know that, Prime Minister Modi personally, whenever he looks at technology, at the back of his mind, in the conversations that we've had with him as well, has been, how to solve some of India's, pressing problems. Is that a conversation that occupies your mind also at Sarvam? Census, things like that are one thing. India's got bigger problems as well. Where does Sarvam, where does the technology that you've been developing fit into some of those things?
Look, I think names carry a lot of intent, right? We named the company Sarvam because we genuinely believe that this technology must reach everyone. In Sanskrit, it means everyone or everything. Our intent is to ensure that this technology is accessible no matter your language, your community, the kind of thing that you're doing, and no matter the cost point, right? You want to make this affordable, accessible to all. So that's our primary focus, right? It's also important to know that value loops of AI compound very, very fast, right? It sometimes takes 3-4 years, sometimes a decade to get value loops going, but in AI, it's happening in a matter of months, right? So to be able to have the playground to innovate, you need to be able to put our technology out there, use the feedback from users to make the models better. So that is the other thing that we are kicking off. Once it reaches people, these things actually improve for the things that people care about, right? So India is just, I think, a tremendously hard benchmark for what AI needs to get right to work for all of India.
One of the most exciting things that Sarvam is doing is taking Indian languages, optimizing them using homegrown AI tech and scaling them up for the entire populations. And this is something that very few people can do. The global majors, want a piece of it, but it's only a company like Sarvam that can actually get into it from its very core. So I want you to tell us a little bit about that. You talked about, the Gujarati translation that happened. I'm going to show you a clip in a moment from now. But first, Pratyush, tell us about that. The domain of Indian languages and how Sarvam is scaling that up and getting people access to AI at that level.
See, look, you raised an important point that these models are usually trained by large companies.
Yeah.
And that is because the R&D that goes into it, the amount of compute resources that go into it, high-grade GPUs, I know NVIDIA is coming here later in the day, we need to burn a lot of their chips to train these models. That was actually somehow available to only few, right? And that is an important problem. Many of these things, even like in telecom, you have to put a lot of capital expenditure to then make things available at small unit prices.
Yeah.
But the capital expenditure is high, and AI is very much that. AI demands scale. And what happened, and since we're talking about the Impact Summit, in the India AI mission, the government took a stance, let's support building of models from scratch. Not using somebody else's model, somebody else's technology, but having the homegrown sovereign ability to build these models. Because frankly, we are in a post-AI world.
Yeah.
It's not like we are ever going back. And if large language models, generative AI is such an important technology, India should be building it, right? We are an old civilization, young country, third largest economy. It's actually a moot point to ask that India should be building these technologies. But the capital intensity, the research requirement, those are the key things to solve for that we are doing at Sarvam.
Yeah, I noticed, in some of the media reports around Sarvam that you're also doing some very exciting work around, ancient scriptures and documents and, digitizing those documents and making them accessible to all in a very, very incredible way. But I just want to tell all of our audience here and those plugging in from across the world that NDTV has a very progressive newsroom. We've been using Sarvam, and I want to give you like the smallest little use case. This is like the most basic use case. I'm sure you're flooded with these examples, but I want to show it to you because we just used it.
Okay.
NDTV had an incredible summit in Tamil Nadu just a few days ago, and the Chief Minister, of course, was speaking in Tamil. I just want to show you how the newsroom made it happen.
I didn't know about this.
Made it happen for our viewers across the world.
Right.
Take a look at this.
தமிழ்நாடு உச்சி மாநாட்டில் கலந்து கொண்டு சிறப்பித்துக் கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய மாண்புமிகு அமைச்சர் பெருமக்கள்,
Honorable Minister and dignitaries who are participating in the Tamil Nadu Summit and are making it special.
That is cool.
That's virtually in real time, and like I said, it's probably the simplest way that something has happened. We've done much more complicated things since then, by the way, and we're very excited to be going into election season, Pratyush, where we're going to use much more of this. And according to you, we've just shown you what can happen in a newsroom when you adopt stuff like this. What is the most incredible use case that you've come across or that you're envisioning when it comes to access to language of this kind?
The one that I am
It just opens up the population to services beyond measure, I imagine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, the one that I'm most excited about is education, right? Imagine giving a free tutor to every student in this country, which they can access on a feature phone, on a smartphone. They can say, I just studied this today in the class, I didn't understand it, help me out. And it is personalized. It is at the level of the student, in their language, and able to help them, right? This is not at all a fantasy. With very, very low cost, we can provide access to education to all, right? And of course, it applies to healthcare, agriculture, etc. But education, especially in this fast-moving world, is going to be a big challenge, and that's one thing that we can solve. So I'm deeply interested in this concept of per capita consumption of intelligence, right? If we are to be competitive as a country, we need to increase that. And that requires our ability to build them and serve them for use cases that matter.
And when we talk about an Indian model, there are many of these global models. Something that you're very, very particular about, and people can see why, is that you're not building on top of somebody else's work. You're doing this from scratch. This is an Indian model. Again, very important to the larger summit that's taking place in the city right now, is that this is building an Indian AI model. Tell us why that is important given the current the current situation across the world.
See, look, these models are very powerful, so there should be lots of people building on top of models that exist internationally and doing good things with it. But at Sarvam, we are a foundational company. We are interested in building from scratch because there need to be some foundational bets in the country, and we believe that's important because you need to be able to control the data that goes into these models. You need to be able to play the research and development angle on these models as they evolve. We're in very, very early days of a new era of computing. We cannot give up and be users of this era. We need to build foundationally. And that's the bet we have taken at Sarvam. There is interesting things to be done on top of models, but at Sarvam, we are a foundational company building from scratch and going to continue doing that in the decades to come.
For most people, Pratyush, AI is an everyday experience with chatbots, interacting with those, getting it to write things for you at the very simple level. If one were to ask you how India's model or India's AI capability, the one that you're building, is going to be different at that kind of user experience level compared to a chat GPT and the other more, consumer-facing products, how would you describe it? What you're doing differently?
Yeah, so firstly, we are investing a lot more on Indian languages. So whether it's the quality of the speech models, whether it's quality of the text models, we benchmark against the best and we are significantly ahead. The other thing, we're interested in reducing the cost of access to these models. So we make them small, we make them efficient. If on a feature phone, somebody had to on voice ask questions, that's an entirely different use case. You would not even imagine other parts of the world doing, but we still have multiple hundreds of millions of these feature phones active today, right? So we are deeply interested in problems like that. We are also interested in data sets that are specific to India, right? So the cultural nuance to the language, to the culture, all of that we would like to include. So one is being able to compete globally on global benchmarks, which we are doing, right? So language is not the only thing we're interested in. We need to get language right because that is home turf. But we need to make this model strong generally. So whether it is math, whether it is coding, whether it is scientific reasoning, we want these models to be good on all of them.
As far as talent density is concerned, just sheer talent within the country to do some of these big, ambitious things that you're, trying to achieve. Where does India stand compared to other countries? Because there is a sense globally that it is India's moment. The summit that you're seeing happen in the city also suggests that, there is every effort to put the spotlight on India. Nobody can debate, Pratyush, as far as potential is concerned. Where does India stand?
See, look, people, and I like this statement that the Prime Minister said. He said, India mein shakti hai, jagane ki zarurat hai, right? So I genuinely believe that. India has a lot of potential, both in the talent we have in the country, and frankly, talent that would want to come back to the country if we had the playground for innovation. For long, we have not made innovation that feasible in the country, right? Because innovation is somewhat expensive, it needs champions to absorb them, and then value loops to be created on top. I think this is the moment when India is recognizing, maybe helpfully with the geopolitical situation, etc., that we are on, that guys, we have to stand up on our legs, right? And it's too important a country not to do that. So talent, to your question, is there in the country. There's a lot of work that is hard engineering that needs to be done in building these models. There is talent for that. But I'm very, very hopeful that these are early days which will attract a lot of people to come back to India. Not in the way other countries did by forcing them to come back, but genuinely recognizing that India is the place to be and the place to build, right? And we see a lot of that happening at Sarvam. Folks from different top companies coming back, joining us, and I believe there's a huge flood of people wanting to come back, and we are shaping up for that.
There are millions of young people who are going to be listening to you right now live across NDTV's platforms. What are Sarvam's criteria when you are hiring talent? Everyone wants to know. As the most exciting, one of the most exciting AI companies in India right now, what do you look for when you're hiring the next youngster who may make a difference in AI?
Yeah, it's interesting because, and I guess you also experience that at your organizations, because there is AI, what you know matters a little less than how quickly you can learn, right? The rate of learning matters much more than what you have learned. So we look at that very strongly. People with agency to learn, people with agency to go and solve things and imagine things that can't be out there. The other thing we look for is a little bit, I mean, not technical, but I genuinely believe you need to have the ability to suffer to succeed, right? And as these things become so powerful technologically, I think the human ability to stick to a problem persistently, come suffering or come what, I think that's the other thing that we look for. And it clearly shows, right? People who can go that extra mile are significantly more productive.
There are many founders of cutting-edge AI companies across the world, Pratyush, who've been sounding a warning bell about AI and the things it might do. You've seen the Anthropic CEO and founder, many others who've written essays that have gone extremely viral about the guardrails that are necessary as a society. Do you have similar thoughts? Is that something that you are thinking about as well in Sarvam? Because this is an enormous market here in India, untapped potential of proportions that have not been imagined before in the world. How does that occur to you?
Yeah, so I fully agree with what the general narrative is, which is that technologically this is unprecedented. The rate of change of technology, the impact it can have across sectors is unprecedented. It is happening much faster than institutions, countries can absorb change, right? So we are going to have trouble adapting to this. The shape and form of that will be decided as things go ahead. But what I'm also excited about, right? In fact, the theme of the summit that's happening in Bharat Mandapam is Sarva Jana Hitaya, Sarva Jana Sukhaya, right? So the welfare for all and the happiness for all, right? I think if you keep human flourishing as the center of why we are doing what we are doing, there is a lot of potential. India as a country, still physically not the world-class infrastructure that we desire, but top-class digital infrastructure. We built Aadhaar, in fact, my co-founder was the one who sort of built Aadhaar for 15 years, right? That foundation has been laid. I think now is India's time to imagine what the Sarvajana Hitaya version of AI is and make that a contribution to the world. We can, of course, do R&D at a global standard, but culturally coming from where we are, we can also contribute that back to the world because, frankly, most people in the world are scared, right? Because where they are and what AI is doing, they do understand that there are going to be large changes, and it's India's moment to capitalize.
Is there going to be a tipping point? I've thought about this question a little bit because right now it seems to be a moment of transition where the world is looking closely at India. All the big companies are looking very closely at Sarvam as well. Is there a tipping point ahead of us where India's role becomes much more defined in the world as far as what it's bringing to the table in AI? And I mean beyond, locally built models and things like that, plugging into the global chain.
Absolutely. No, there are very nice companies like Emergent out of Bangalore, which is building for the world, rapidly scaling and coding, right? I genuinely believe India will innovate in this space. But I think the key inflection point to your question will come when the latent demand in India is tapped into, right? We are hungry for intelligence. We're hungry for insight, knowledge, guidance, information. There's a huge asymmetry. If AI can plug that, if you can build the business case, if you can build the entire ecosystem around that, just like Aadhaar happened, it was an inflection moment. Nobody can compete against the way we do payments in the country. I think we will get to that kind of a state if we do AI at population scale. And that's when the strength of India, which is that we want to build things that take people along, that will come across as opposed to the fast-moving capital frenzy that's happening in the space. And the third force, of course, is technology. It is so exciting as an engineer that these models are improving so fast. So all of them are going to play out. I think India's moment is when we can deploy it at population scale.
One of the themes at the event that you are participating in by the government is India Can, which is a very interesting choice of words because it assumes that that moment is already here. It's just waiting for a spark or a trigger to actually get there. Is Sarvam that company that's going to do that?
I mean, that is our mission to do that, right? But I think the India can is an interesting evolution. There were times when people said India shouldn't, right? Shouldn't build models, right? There are times when people said, must India build models? And some people say, India must, and so on, which is just opinions. I think what we are trying to show is that India can, and that the proof of concept of deep tech in India is done. We can build it. It's now about figuring out how to have proof of scale and then taking it forward, right? So I'm genuinely optimistic. India is a country that has demonstrated success over millennia. We'll do that in this generation as well.
You know, Pratyush, and I want to bring it back to the consumer level for a moment right now, since we're still wearing these glasses, which is that, you know, a couple of years ago, you know, the chatbots and the chat GPTs were sort of novelties. Now they've become like an everyday part of your life, like a, you know, like a normal search bar. What is that next thing that's going to become normalized in our lives? Is it wearable tech? Is it some kind of a utility that has you know, an AI layer to it? Just give us a kind of crystal ball sense of what is the new normal going to look like as far as everyday consumer life is concerned.
Yeah, but that's $1 trillion question. I think everybody would like an answer to that. But my instinct is that we will all try to reduce the friction to access intelligence, right? We would all like at our fingertips to be able to access the powerful model, get an answer for it, and feel entertained, productive, whatever it is that you are trying to amplify, right? And variables will play a role, pervasive intelligence will play a role. Imagine walking into a high security place and you don't have to do anything. It's just AI, ambient AI that takes care of things, right? At the same time, AI working on a feature phone and being used across the country reliably, so retrofitted to what was working earlier. I see both of these things happening, right? But everybody, I think, should get faster access to this technology, so we have a level playing field.
What are the roadblocks between now and that potential inflection point, Pratyush? You know, you talked about digital infrastructure being world class. There are other infrastructural issues that India is going to have to sort out. Give us a prescription that you would like the government to listen to get to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I think that if AI is thought of as a factor of productivity, most factors of productivity have a source. In this case, AI requires a lot of compute, right? To be able to serve AI or to a population scale, we need to have a large amount of accelerated compute. This is specialized compute that is required to run. It's not what runs on your laptop, etc. So getting access to that is important. And downstream from that is the need to get energy to power these things. Yeah. Of course, we need to do it frugally if you have to reach a population scale, but you still need a lot of it, right? And we should move ahead ambitiously, saying that this is the only post-AI world that there is, and go and create their infrastructure, because infrastructure has a gestation period. It takes time. I think that is the number one thing. And the second thing is the recognition that value loops being internal is a long-term advantage, right? Imagine Aadhaar being built by some foreign company. Yeah. That would not make sense. I think nuclear being built by somebody would not make sense. I think this is one such critical technology. In the long arc, sovereignty will matter a lot more.
I think what you said right at the start is something that we will end with today, which is that there is no going back. You know, this is where we are. It can only get bigger, deeper, more pervasive right now, more a part of our lives, the new normal. There simply isn't going back. And now as we end, your glasses have been doing some work through this entire conversation.
That's right.
So I'm going to call our team up on stage to end with what those glasses have actually been doing. It's a first demonstration on television, guys. It's very, very important that you pay attention to this. This is, okay, can we get that camera on stage, Ayush?
Yeah. See, the interesting thing about what these glasses is, we don't intend this to be as a one-off thing. You can build things that you need depending on what you're doing. So because we were having this chat, we wanted to build a quick app. So just like you have apps on phones, you can have apps on glasses. This is an app that takes our conversation, it summarizes the conversation. In this case, I asked it to do it in Hindi, so it summarized the whole thing. I can play it. In fact, I'm listening to the summary in my own glasses, and I've been clicking photos once in a while, so that's you wearing the nice-looking glasses,
Oh,
right?
nice. Zoom in here, you can see the pictures here.
So you can...
That have been taken with the glasses.
Along with it, right? So, and it goes on and gives me actual transcript of what we have been speaking. I can use this later to, and there are key points written out in Hindi and so on. So all of that happening as we were speaking. So this is one app, and you can imagine having many such apps doing various things as you wear them.
I'm just thinking of all the incredible use cases for this. You know, no more meeting minutes. The devil in me is thinking of all the other things one can do with it in national security and espionage and things like that. But incredible. Thanks very much, Pratyush. This has been literally an eye-opener. In May, these glasses go out into the market. In a couple of hours from now, Pratyush is going to be unveiling some new products, which he can't talk about right now. We'll have to plug into that, and we will show all of our audiences across NDTV's network all about that. All the very best, and thank you. Thank you very much.